So this book review is going to be The Confessions of Rick James, Memoirs of a Super Freak. What a book this was. Rick James never gets enough due as a songwriter, producer, arranger, composer, stylist. And of course the imagery took such a huge amount of everything he did, but this guy was one of the greatest artists ever. And yeah, I thought he was a musical genius because if you can blend the R&B, pop, soul, gospel, blues, jazz, and then also hip hop came on board, and he was the most sampled artist. Let's remember that he was the most sampled artist. He had a right before he died, ASCAP awarded him as the most sampled artist ever. Believe it or not, even more so than James Brown. He got a lifetime award for that because he never really got his due back in his prime because of racial politics and other things. He had to battle MTV and everything. I want to take a quick moment to shout out this too. Both born in Buffalo, New York. B-Lo in the house. And when he wrote Jefferson, remember Jefferson Ball on his Bustin' Out album, Bustin' Out L7, I thought, man, he talking about Jefferson Ball. What a song that was. I love the whimsicalness of it, the musicality of it. Just like when you hear Fool on the Street with the Santana blast and the harmony. He just always had so many different things. But this book takes you back to the 60s when he was a kid growing up in projects, the Perry Projects. I will share this little tidbit. He went to high school with my father back at Bennett High School. They had some little story, and he is I know exactly where Rick James is buried in Buffalo. But just so many stories, so many memories, how he heard music, how he started off, his musicality, the way he picked it all up. And of course, remember how he went AWOL in Canada. He Minor Bird, his early band with Neil Young, and it could have been Crosby, Still, Nash and Young, could have been Crosby, Still, Nash, James and Young, but he had to go, and he did session work with Motown. He later had to do his bid, and he came back as Motown was doing staff work, and he had little groups and acts through the 70s before he got his solo deal with Motown with the Stone City Band. And where do I start with that? He produced records on them, Val Young, of course, him and Tina Marie were legendary. The Ebony and Ivory, male and female best, the duet of what they did was incredible. And of course, with the Mary Jane Girls, incredible. When you write a hit song for Eddie Murphy, incredible. He talks about his highs and his lows, ins and outs, legal, what went down, all the different things. And he was somebody that he was like what I call the everyday soul brother, because he was like, he wrote stuff that you could relate to. Talks about his rivalry with Prince. Yeah, and that was real interesting. And how Michael Jackson, the Jackson family, and how his perception on other artists. And that's what I miss about Rick James, because you don't have artists today that come out and say so and so is 3 chords short of being a bum. But he would tell you that. He'd keep it 100. And he could tell you who was top flight and who wasn't. He had a strong musicality, a strong sense of pride, strong sense of urgency. And this book had me rolling, have you in tears, have you just in so many emotions. He was that deep. He was that profound. He was really, truly an artist's artist, and he left a lasting impact. And he has missed something else. I thought about it because this year marks 15 years in August when he passed, and I remember that day with rain, and I was like, this can't be true. One of my favorite artists growing up. So many times, so many album reflections. What do I start? I still remember street songs like Yesterday, Give It To Me Baby, Super Freak, classics. And you fast forward 10 years later with Super Freak, and it became You Can't Touch This for MC Hammer, which we're talking about almost 30 years from come next year, and what that song meant for Hammer's career and what it all did. Took on a whole, that's genius when you can take one song, create it into 3 different musical genres, and then it takes a whole different light. Pardon me. Just amazing what he was able to accomplish in a short time. And he had so many classics. And Fire and Desire with Tina Marie, amazing. The ballad, that feeling, that throwing down, bringing back the Temptations. Like he had them on Ghetto Life on the Street Songs album, and he had the original members. His cousin was Melvin Franklin, ironically. But then he brought them all back for Stand on the Top, which was on Throne, which was incredible. That long version still slams. His horn arrangements, him and Danny LaMelle, oh come on now, and then Levi and Tom McDowell, that band was bad. The Ruffin Brothers, I mean, that whole band was bad. But when him and Danny, when he used to say "Blow Danny," oh, that was the truth. That was the truth. That was like his Coltrane. I mean, that was the truth. Love that. Dance with Me, his nod to Marvin Gaye, the groove of it, incredible, hard to get. You know, um, all them songs. You know, like you hear them songs, 69 times. Had that punk vibe going, but had the funk of it. Then you go to Cold Blood, which was cold synthesizer. Took the horns out, just went cold synth. It was cold. Um, Pimp the Simp with him and Melly Mel, one of the first R&B hip hop collabs, and that was cold blooded. And then Ebony Eyes with him and Smokey Robinson was gospel, and their voices blended in harmony. So you know when you go through all these songs, then you get to Glow, which was very bumping. I love the horn breakdown. You know that 5 minute mark with that horns go. Ooh, that was something else. 17 Seconds on the Greatest Hits album, which came out in '84. I'm going back and forth, but he had you know, I hadn't even talked about the Come and Get It album debut where Mary Jane and You and I, which was just strong, and Hollywood, which was a great autobiographical song. The funk and the rhythm, the timing, the texture. Dream Maker, which was off the debut, one of his best ballads ever. You know, because with him, you can't really, if you really follow his career, you can go into so many areas in time and lose track of it. And then, of course, Bustin' Out, which was a cold-blooded funk song and had so much blend going on. And, you know, I mean, he just, you know, Big Time was a big song from 80. He had that one on the, you know, there's so many different songs, so many classics come into my life. You know, just a great artist. But anyway, this book details all that, his career, his highs, his lows, and in betweens. The Confessions of Rick James, a memoir of a super freak. Check it out if you haven't. Let's talk about Rick James. What's your favorite albums, your favorite songs, your favorite memories? Hit the like and subscribe, and let's keep the funk alive. In memory of Rick James, R.I.P. Peace.